G'day and welcome. My name's Peter Montgomery, and today I'm talking to Zaki Ameer. And Zaki is a property investor, and he did the amazing thing of building a $3 million property portfolio with 15 properties in the space of only 3 years. Since then, Zaki's gone from strength to strength, and him and his team at Dream Design Property have done over 1,000 property deals for their clients. So, Zaki, welcome to the call.
Hi, Peter. How are you?
Going good, man. Now, you've been in action, since we last spoke. It's been a few years now, and a whole lot has gone on. A lot of things have changed. One of the topics I was reading in your latest media release is about why people fail in property investment. Now, just based on that document there, I just want to ask you a few things about the first topic, so being selfish. What is it about being selfish that holds people back?
My take on being selfish is that property investing is an investment journey. So it's a factual journey as opposed to an emotional journey. And I can see a handful of them, I guess, being emotional about the investment purchase in terms of, this property didn't look as pretty as what it would have looked at, or the kitchen didn't look like what it was going to be like, or something went wrong with it. And so you're spending more time, I guess, with your heart, as opposed to looking at it from your mind, in the sense saying that, well, this is part of the journey. The whole purpose of this journey is that it's a long-term journey, and ups and downs are going to be part of life, and you've got to stick things through.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the document now in front of me. When you say impatience, could you talk a bit about, are the people impatient? Is the market impatient? What do you mean by that?
It's actually it comes down to the individual being impatient in looking for results too soon. It could be similar to if you were to go to the gym. You may sign up to the gym membership, and then you go train for 1 week, and then you go, oh mate, I haven't lost any weight, or I haven't put on my muscles or whatever, and you don't understand that the body takes time, for it to adjust and appreciate change. And the same thing comes to investing. Investing works in the same way, that you've got to be patient. And we say that property investing is a 7 to 10 year journey, meaning if I was the one buying the piece of property, I wouldn't be selling that real estate for at least 10 years. And I would only judge the results of, did this actually work in 10 years? Anything that happens in between that is actually just called life. It's part of that. This part of what goes up must come down, and eventually what's down will eventually go back up. And it reminds me of the Sydney real estate market, for example. In 1980, the average property price for a Sydney house was around $80,000. And in 2016, it's approximately averaging 1.1 million. Imagine the ones who bought those houses in 1980 end up selling during the crashes of 1983, 1984. They would have just been being a millionaire just by having that piece of property. That's all they had to do, nothing else but keep that house and maybe have it rented if it was an investment property. So you've just got to see the patience. So it's like looking back in life saying, hey, this stuff works. It's worked for maybe 50 years in Australia, and why would it change anytime soon? And you've got to wait 10 years. And so it's a matter of just being patient through that time.
When it comes to not taking responsibility, when you mentioned that there, is that people, like, only when things go wrong, people will just want to pass the buck? Or is this just throughout the whole process? Talk a bit more about that for us.
Well, it's the buyers beware, I guess, it's a disclaimer. I mean, if you're purchasing a property or into business or shares, you're ultimately, as an individual, taking the risk. And the risk is on you. Yes, you rely on different service providers. It may be your accountant, your property manager, your insurance, to do the right thing, and they will obviously do their best. But ultimately, you've got to also be responsible before you start this journey, saying, hey, when I get into this journey, there are going to be some downs. Based on the ATO stats I read last online, it was that 0.1% of Australians own more than 4 properties. And you've got to ask yourself, 4 properties to me is not a lot. I did 15 in 3 years. And we have many clients that have done far more than that. So I'm going, well, why is it only 0.1% of Australia? And this is why it comes back to mental attitude about when you're getting into this journey, there are going to be some downs. You just got to stick it through. And too many times, again, as you've noticed in Sydney, we've had a boom in the last 3 years. And many of people I know want to sell out because they go, oh, look, I've made 50,000, I've made 100,000. I'm like, man, you might make $300,000, $400,000 if you just stick it through. and just keep doing what you're doing. It might be running your business, or it might be working for someone else. And the great thing in Australia is that when the property goes up in value, you can purchase another property. And imagine you sold onto that and you missed out on $300,000 worth of growth, which could have eventually led you to about 3-4 other properties accumulating, making you extremely wealthy, and being part of that 0.1%. So I don't understand why it won't be you.
Now, so when you mentioned hesitating, right, is that people are like, is it they're too cautious to go into the market?
Well, we look at over the past 5.5 years running this running DDP as a business, and we've probably met thousands of clients, and all very keen. I mean, we don't door knock, we don't cold call. So these are all clients or potential clients that have come to us saying, "I'm interested in investing in real estate." And I've got to ask myself, why is it only 1,000 clients that have purchased property? Why isn't it 10,000? And I feel majority of them are just probably sitting doing nothing. And I've got to ask you, why not? What's actually changing in your life compared to, say, a year ago, 2 years ago? And they always, the definition of insanity, expecting tomorrow to be different, doing the same thing. And you've got only today as a moment. So the only change you could do is actually right now. And sitting in a phase of saying, oh, well, my family said not to do it. My neighbor said not to do it. My friend said not to do it. It's a very simple question. You've just got to ask yourself, well, do they have the results that you're looking for? If not, just take the advice from somebody else and get on with it.
And just finally, just want to finish up with doing it alone, and people sort of trying to save money by, cut costs by doing everything themselves. Could you just tell us a bit more about, why they should or shouldn't do it alone?
Well, it's the concept of leverage. It's the same reason why, majority of our clients would take out a loan with a bank, or maybe even leverage up to 95%, because you're using the bank's money. You're working in a partnership with the bank. The bank's lending you the money. You get to own a piece of real estate. You do well with the property prices going up over a period of 10 years. And the bank does well with its interest. So that's the same principle whilst you go to a bank. So same way, if you're going to use a bank for the money, well, you should also use an accountant, a professional accountant for your accounting, a financial planner maybe for your superannuation, an insurance guy, and maybe even a consultancy firm like us to put this all together for you. As opposed to, you might save, I don't know, $10,000, $15,000 doing it alone. But imagine you forgot to take your insurance out, you forgot to take the correct insurance for your policy, you forgot to do your accounting right or your depreciation right. You're probably going to pay much more in the long run than initially paying a few $1,000s in the beginning to get it all right.
Well, Zaki, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate just how direct and honest you are, and just how you give the good information, the right information that people need to make informed decisions about investing in property. And to the viewers, I really hope that you take on board what Zaki said today, and stop hesitating and get into property investing. Okay, Zaki, I look forward to your call next week, and you make it a great day.
Thanks, Peter.